Hey guys, for this edition of my 10 Obscure Cars from Around the World series, I have for you a list of 10 obscure cars from Britain. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe for more if you enjoy. With all of that out of the way, let's get into the video. The FBS, or Future British Supercars, Census is a front-engine, rear-wheel drive roadster that was produced from around 2001 to 2003. This car was created by Robin Hall and Andrew Barber, who had previously worked as engineers for the now-defunct Rover Car Company. The FBS Census was created to compete with the likes of other British sports car manufacturers like Lotus and Noble. This car aimed to be as lightweight as possible, and use a monocoque chassis to help achieve that goal, with it coming in at just 2,138 pounds. The chassis in question was also fully CAD designed, which also aided it in being more lightweight. Under the hood was a 2.5-liter Ford Duratec V6 engine, which made about 167 horsepower and 162 pound-foot of torque, and this power was sent to the rear wheels via a 5-speed manual transmission. Very few units of the Census were made, and it's believed that only 8 to 12 were ever made before FBS ran into financial difficulty in 2003 and the company was given to a new owner. This car is definitely very eccentric looking, but it did seem to be a solid car aside from that. The Gibbs Aquada is an amphibious vehicle that was produced by Gibbs Sports Amphibians from 2003 to 2004 as a limited production vehicle. What's cool about this car is that, as is in the name, it is actually amphibious and can be driven on land or across the water. This car drives like a normal car on land, and its top speed there is 99 miles per hour. And the way this car's amphibious abilities works is that when sensors detect that you have driven into the water, the wheels will retract up into the body, a jet propulsion system will be deployed, and you're off. On the water, this car can get to about 31 miles per hour or 27 knots. The engine used to power this car is a 2.5-liter Rover V6, which makes about 175 horsepower, and this gave the car a 0 to 60 of about 8.5 seconds on land. When this car was new, it cost about $85,000 US, and while Gibbs planned on producing 4,000 of these, only 45 ever ended up being made. While the Gibbs company still seems to be active today, their most recent model, the Quadski, ended production in 2016, and there have been no new models from them since. This is, in my opinion, one of the coolest obscure cars I've seen. This is the Ginetta Akula, a sports car built by the British brand Ginetta from 2024 to present. The point of this car is to give drivers an experience close to driving a race car. This is shown by the heavily motorsport-inspired interior. This car is also surprisingly lightweight, weighing in at just 2,624 pounds due to its carbon fiber monocoque floor and chassis. For reference, this would actually make the Akula lighter than the Mazda MX-5 Miata by 331 pounds. The engine powering this awesome car is a 6.4-liter naturally aspirated V8, which makes 600 horsepower and 494 pound-foot of torque. This power is sent to the rear wheels via a 6-speed manual transmission or a dual-clutch 7-speed automatic if opted for. This car has a 0 to 60 time of just 2.9 seconds and a top speed of 180 miles per hour. As I mentioned before, this car just entered production a few months ago at the time of making this video, and only 20 units are to be made, with the starting price of this car being £275,000 or about $335,228 US. Overall, this is a really cool limited production sports car, and it's interesting to see Ginetta's use of motorsport technology in a production car. The Ascari Ecos is a British sports car that was produced from 1998 to 1999 and was basically a production version of the Ascari FGT race car concept. It has a mid-engine, rear-wheel drive layout and was only available in two-door coupe form. It was produced in just 17 copies, making it an extremely exclusive car. While the aforementioned FGT concept car it was based on was fitted with a 6-liter Chevrolet V8, the first 14 units of the Ecos were powered by 4.4 and 4.7-liter Hart-tuned BMW V8 engines, which produced 300 and 400 horsepower, while the last 3 units had a 5-liter Hartge BMW V8, which made 420 horsepower and 384 pound-foot of torque. For transmission options on this car, you would have the choice of a 5-speed manual or 6-speed sequential transmission. It was also a pretty lightweight car, with its fiberglass body giving it a total weight of just 2,756 pounds. The performance specs of this car were also pretty impressive, with the 4.7-liter engine giving the car a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of 4.1 seconds, with the car going on to a top speed of 200 miles per hour. This car has been compared to the legendary McLaren F1 supercar many times due to its use of a BMW V8 engine, and they are pretty similar. In 2003, Ascari released a successor for the Ecos, the KZ1. The Ecos is for sure a cool British sports car that I really think deserves more attention. The Bowler EXR S is an off-road vehicle that is based on the Bowler Nemesis off-road race car. This car was made by Bowler Motors Limited, which builds cars based on Land Rover Defender and Range Rover chassis. The EXR S has a front engine, 4-wheel drive layout, and started production in 2012. This car is essentially a Range Rover Sport, but much more extreme. Since it is a road-legal version of a racing vehicle, with it comes things like Brembo brakes, bi-xenon headlights, iBox springs, racing seats, 3-point racing belts, an advanced tubular roll cage, and a custom composite body. Another major upgrade this car got was the suspension, which was fully independent on both the front and rear of the car, with double wishbones and Bilstein dampers. Powering this beast is either a 5-liter supercharged V8, which makes over 550 horsepower, or a 3-liter turbo diesel V6 if opted for. With the V8, this vehicle has a top speed of 155 miles per hour, as well as a 0 to 60 sprint of 4.2 seconds. This is an incredible off-road vehicle, and when new, it costs around £155,000, or about $240,000. The Arash AF8 is a small sports car that is currently being produced by the Arash Motor Company in Britain. The AF8 uses a 7-liter LS7 V8 engine from the Chevrolet Corvette, which makes 560 horsepower and 475 pound-foot of torque. This gives the AF8 a 0 to 60 time of 3.5 seconds, as well as a top speed of 200 miles per hour. This power is sent to the rear wheels via a 6-speed manual transmission. Like the previously mentioned Ginetta Akula, this car uses a lot of motorsport technology to help make the car lighter and perform better. The AF8 uses things like carbon fiber reinforced plastic, side steel impact tubes, and plenty more carbon fiber throughout the body and chassis. Pricing for the AF8 starts at £165,000, or about $200,684. Personally, I think the AF8 is just another example of why Arash needs more attention, as they really do have the potential to make cool sports cars. The Strathcarron SC-5A is a lightweight sports car that was produced from 1999 to 2001. The brand, Strathcarron Sports Cars, only produced 2 models from its lifespan from 1999 to 2001, with those being the SC6 and SC5A. The SC5A could seat 2 and had a mid-engine layout. It was powered by a 1200cc inline-4 engine sourced from the Triumph Trophy 1200 motorcycle. This engine made 125 horsepower, and this power was sent to the rear wheels through a 6-speed manual transmission. It used a lightweight Kevlar body, which helped it bring it to a weight of just 1,213 pounds, and it also had a very good weight distribution of 45-55 from the front to the rear. It cost around $30,000 to start when it was new. Overall, this is just another great lightweight sports car to come out of Britain. The Peerless GT is a British sports saloon made by Peerless Cars Limited, which was founded by Jimmy Burns and Bernie Roger. The Peerless GT was produced between 1957 and 1960. This car's prototype was originally named the Warwick, but was eventually renamed to the Peerless GT just before beginning production. The GT used a tubular space frame with running gear from the Triumph TR3, which included the car's 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, which made about 100 horsepower and around 117 pound-foot of torque, and this power was sent to a 4-speed manual transmission. This gave it a top speed of a little under 110 miles per hour. This car made its debut at the 1957 Paris Motor Show, where it received a good amount of attention from the public. This car actually also competed in the 1958 24 Hours of Le Mans race, where it not only finished 16th overall, but won in its class. Despite this car's impressive motorsport history, it didn't sell well, with only 325 units of the Peerless GT ever being made. In 1960, the Peerless company as a whole went out of business as a result of financial struggles. In 1960, Peerless was sold to another owner, who restarted production of the car under the new name Warwick. Production of this new car only went from 1960 to 62, with an estimated 40 units being made this time around. Interestingly, the space frame from the Peerless GT was later used to create another obscure British car, the 1964 Gordon Keeble. The Brook RR is a lightweight British sports car made by specialty sports car manufacturer Brook from around 2006 to 2014. This car had a design inspired by open-wheel race cars. It was rear-wheel drive, had a mid-engine layout, and could seat two. Its body was a tubular steel space frame which helped keep it lightweight, and it came standard with things like Toyo 888R track tires, 15-inch OZ alloy wheels, aero section double wishbones, and adjustable Spax dampers. Unlike most of the lightweight sports cars on this list, it used a longitudinally mounted car engine as opposed to a motorcycle engine. This engine was a 2.3-liter Cosworth inline-4, which made 256 horsepower. The transmission used for this car was a 5-speed manual. As for performance specs, this car could hit 60 miles per hour in about 3 seconds flat, and go on to a top speed of about 165 miles per hour. Although the version of this car I'm covering has a naturally aspirated engine, there was also a supercharged model of this car that made even more horsepower. I think this car is really cool, as it gives you the sort of experience you would get from driving an open-wheel race car. The Spectre R42 is a British sports car that was designed by Ray Christopher of GT Development, which was a company that specialized in creating Ford GT40 replicas. This car was Christopher's idea of a modern version of the GT40. The R42 was produced from 1995 to 1998 and was only produced in about 25 units. This car had a mid-engine, rear-wheel drive layout and was only available in two-door coupe form. It had a fiberglass body, monocoque aluminum honeycomb chassis, and used a tubular steel space frame. All these factors contributed to the car's overall weight, which was just 3,417 pounds. This car also had a weight distribution of 42-58% at the front and rear. The interior of the car had some borrowed parts and features, such as air conditioning vents borrowed from the Ford Fiesta, as well as some custom-made aspects like the gauges. The engine used by this car was Ford's 6.4-liter V8 from the Mustang Cobra. This engine made about 350 horsepower and 317 pound-foot of torque, and this power was sent to the rear wheels through a 5-speed manual transmission. These specs allowed for the car to get a 0 to 60 time of 4.5 seconds, as well as a top speed of 175 miles per hour. There was also a racing version, the R42 GTR, which was made to compete in the 1997 24 Hours of Le Mans race, although this never came to fruition due to financial difficulties making this impossible. This is a pretty interesting sports car that I actually didn't know about prior to making this video. And those are 10 obscure cars that came out of Great Britain. And again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more. If you like this series, I have a playlist on my channel with all the entries so far, so be sure to check that out if you want. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.